Have you ever felt stuck? I mean, truly, profoundly stuck, like you're a great ship built for a vast ocean, but you're caught in the ice. There's a powerful engine of your desire deep in your hole, a primal humming urge to move, to change, to become. You can feel the thrum of it. The intensity is immense, and yet you are frozen. You're burning fuel, the engine is groaning and straining, but you are not moving 1 inch forward. In fact, the more you fight the ice, the more you feel the pressure of its unyielding grip. This feeling, this frustrating, maddening, sometimes soul-crushing paradox of immense inner pressure combined with external immobility is one of the most universal and painful human experiences. We wrestle with it in our careers, our relationship, our art, our spiritual growth. We live in a culture that shouts out, no limits, just do it. If you can dream it, you can be it. And so when we hit a wall, that ice, we immediately assume we are the problem. We're not trying hard enough, not thinking positively enough, not enough of whatever. But, well, what if I told you that this feeling of being stuck isn't a sign that you've failed? What if I told you that the limitation itself is not always your enemy? What if the wall, the ice, the constraint is actually a sacred and necessary part of the process? What if it's the very thing required for true miracle to unfold? Today, I want to talk a bit about this energy. I want to offer you also a new language to understand it, a map for this territory. Well, that language is called human design. Now, please don't worry that this isn't about putting you in a box. I believe that these systems are at their worst when they label us and at their best when they liberate us. So think of human design not as a rigid set of rules, but as a beautiful, sophisticated map, a language of energy that can help us understand the very forces that move through us. It's a tool for self-discovery, for compassion, for navigating our lifelong, even eternal journey. And at the very heart of our conversation today is a single potent point on this map. In human design system, it's called simply gate 60. Now, some also call it the gate of limitation. We can also call it the gate of acceptance, because within this energy lies the secret to turning pressure into power and limitations into divine liberation. So let's zoom in on the map together. Every single point and every single person has access to the energy of all 64 gates. Where you have gates, say, defined in your personal chart simply means that energy is a consistent, reliable theme, a foundational note in the song of you. But we are learning to be in a relationship with every single one of these themes, these energies. And gate 60, well, it lives in a fascinating place. It's located in what human design would call the root center. Or maybe we could call it the push center. The push center at the very base of our energetic body is a powerful motor. It's our adrenal system. It's the raw evolutionary pressure to adapt, to survive, to get up and to do. It is the fuel for life itself. Gate 60 is, it's one of the primary valves on this engine and provides the specific pressure to mutate. The pressure for fundamental, groundbreaking change. Now, here's the crucial piece of wisdom. This is not a steady, constant pressure. Gate 60 operates on a pulse. It's either, on or off. There's no dimmer switch. When the pulse is on, you feel an incredible, almost frantic surge of innovative energy. This is the productive on a crunch feeling some of you know so well. A deadline is set, resources are cut, and suddenly you are a genius. Solutions appear out of thin air. You find a focus you didn't know you possessed. You are channeling, in this case, the raw, mutative power of gate 60. But when the pulse is off, you feel nothing. The energy is gone. The muse has left the building. The path forward is completely obscured or partially obscured. And this, my friends, is where we suffer. We try to force it, and we push and strive, and we rev the engine, but we're just spinning in the mud. We feel a deep chemical melancholy, a restlessness we can't name, and we often blame ourselves. And this brings us to the most important metric of all. We can't always control the intensity of the pressure or the frequency of its pulse, but one slider we have dominion over is the quality of our response. How do we meet this powerful pulsing energy? That choice changes so much, everything. Like all good or great energies, this one exists in a spectrum of expression. Now, at its low quality, its shadow, we call it limitation. This is when we feel victimized by our circumstances. We become rigid and dogmatic, clinging to old structures for a false sense of safety and safety. This is just the way things are, we say. Or we become chaotically rebellious, trying to smash every boundary out of sheer frustration, burning ourselves and our relationships out in the process. Both paths are paved with fear. And if you are sitting here today and that feels like your reality, if you're trapped in that cycle of bitterness or frantic pushing, well, please hear me. My heart goes out to you. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are simply in the grip of a powerful energy without a map. There is a way through because we learn to work with this energy. And we move it into the gift. The gift, the higher expression of Gate 60, is realism. It isn't, grim pessimism. It's a grounded, pragmatic, and deeply creative acceptance of what is. The great director Orson Welles once said, quote, "The enemy of art is the absence of limitations." The realist knows this in their bone. They don't fight the constraint, they use it. They see the limits not as a cage, but as a frame for the masterpiece. They accept the pulse. When it's on, they act with focused power. When it's off, they rest. They reflect. They trust. They know the fallow ground is preparing for spring. And for those of you who live here, you may not be the loudest people in the room, but you are the anchors. You are the quiet pillars of resilience who show the rest of us how to endure with grace. Your patience is a superpower. And what is the highest expression of this energy? The very highest? Well, in some mystical traditions, we would call it divine grace. For Gate 60, the highest, they call a highest expression a divine grace. Now, what is the highest expression of Gate 60? Well, we call it justice. Not human justice, which is often so flawed. This is divine justice. It's the profound cosmic knowing that everything is unfolding in perfect order. It is the power to transcend the very laws of limitation itself. It's where miracles live. It's the moment the sea parts, the moment the stone is rolled away. It's the true liberation born from the complete and loving acceptance of what was. So, the shadow, the gift, the highest expression, that's perhaps the sacred journey of Gate 60. Now, this energy doesn't operate in a vacuum. Gate 60 is a powerful engine, but an engine needs a chassis and a driver. Gate 60 reaches from the push center, from the root center, up towards the primal motor, or sacral center, where it looks for the harmonic partner. Gate 3, the gate of ordering. Gate 3 is the energy that knows how to handle the beautiful chaos and new beginnings. It brings order to novelty. So while Gate 60 provides the raw, pulsing, mutative pressure, Gate 3 provides the brilliant blueprint and energy for new form. Together, they create the channel of mutation. This channel sets the very rhythm of evolution in our lives. Think of it this way. Gate 60 builds the chrysalis. It creates tough, confining, protective structures inside the cocoon. Inside the immense pressure then builds. Everything that was the caterpillar dissolves into a chaotic, primordial soup. It is a time of darkness, stillness, and utter terrifying transformation. This is the melancholy, the stuckness of gate 60's off pulse. Then, gate 3, the gate of ordering, begins its silent, miraculous work. It organizes that chaotic soup into a new, impossibly beautiful form, a butterfly. When the mutation is complete, the pulse of gate 60 turns on, the pressure for release becomes unbearable, the chrysalis cracks, and the new being emerges into the light. But the emergence is a struggle, and the struggle is essential. The effort to break free from the limitations of the chrysalis is what pushes life-giving fluid into the butterfly's wings, giving them the strength to fly. If you were to, quote, help the butterfly by cutting the chrysalis open, it would emerge with weak, wet wings and would perhaps never fly. It would die on the ground. The limitation was not an obstacle to its freedom. The limitation was the very instrument of its liberation. This is the beautiful, sometimes agonizing dance between gate 30 and gate 3. Gate 60 and gate 3. Gate 60 courageously accepts the old form. Gate 3 lovingly births the new. One provides the container, the other miraculously the miraculous emergence. When you feel that intense pressure to change but don't know what to do, you are feeling gate 60's engine revving. When you suddenly get that ha moment, that flash of a new order, a new path forward, you are feeling the gentle kiss of gate 3. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke wrote something that captures the soul of this surrender. He wrote, God speaks to us of it, to each of us as he makes us, then walks with us silently out of the night. These are the words we dimly hear. You are sent beyond your recall. Go to the limits of your longing and embody me. Flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself be separated from me. Nearby is the country they call life. You will know it by its seriousness. Give me your hand. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Well, dang. This is the courageous prayer of Gate 60 and its gift of realism. It's the willingness to stand in the fire of limitation, trusting that the divine is right there with us, walking silently beside us, inviting us to the very limits of our longing. But my goodness, this is a radical act of our modern world. Our culture is built on the shadow of Gate 60. We are terrified with limitation. We are terrified with the off pulse. We distract ourselves from melancholy with endless scrolling, endless busyness, endless noise. We have what you might call a tyranny of the possible, where having infinite options often leads to paralysis and anxiety. We medicate our discomfort. We refuse the chrysalis. We demand to be butterflies now, without the messy, dark transformative process. We want the resurrection without the cross. So, we remain caterpillars, deeply and profoundly trusting, frustrated that we cannot fly. With the wisdom of Gate 60, that invites us back to a more ancient, more sustainable, more truthful way. It asks us to honor the cycles of nature. It reminds us that our resources, our time, money, energy, even love, they're not infinite. And it is in this creative, loving management of those limits that our genius is born. Now, on this journey of understanding ourselves, many people, perhaps some of you, have felt a deep disconnect even from traditional religious frameworks. Maybe the structures felt too rigid, the language too dogmatic. You felt that shadow of Gate 60, limitation as a prison, and you understandably sought freedom elsewhere. And in that searching, you may have found new maps like Human Design that gave you a language for the experience you felt true and liberating. What I want to gently propose is that the truths you find on these new maps are just echoes of the most ancient and eternal principles, of the things that you didn't see there, but they were there. And that maybe, just maybe, the limitation that you saw there wasn't part of that divine truth itself, but it was in a flawed, fearful human expression of it. Because every spiritual tradition at its luminous core teaches this principle of the sacred pause. Well, that's the Sabbath, the meditation, the dark night of the soul. It's the universal recognition that we must be fallow to be fruitful. The great spiritual archetypes are the masters of this energy. Think of Christ in the wilderness, an extreme limitation, but he emerges with absolute clarity and power. Throughout his ministry, you hear his pulsing rhythm. At the wedding of Cana, his response is pure. Gate 60. My hour is not yet come, he says at one point. An acceptance of divine timing. Yet later, standing also one of the experiences before the tomb, past all mortal hope, the pulse is on. He steps into his highest expression, justice, miracle, and calls life forth from what was finished. Well, this is not about dogma. This is about divine pattern. It is the perfect embodiment. It is the perfect embodiment of this energy, a being who fully accepts the limitation of the mortal world and yet acts from a place of complete alignment with higher loving will, who knows when to wait in the chrysalis and when to command the stone to be rolled away. This is the potential that lives in each of us, to learn and to listen so deeply to the rhythm of our own soul, to the counsel of our inner authorities, that we know when to push and when with great holy courage to simply be still. I'd like to share another poem. It's called The Dam. The pressure builds behind the wall of stone, of restless water desperate to be free, a million drops of what is yet unknown, a whispered promise of the future sea. In shadow's grip I curse the cold constraint. This dam's a prison holding back my soul. I hammer at the wall with my complaint, demanding that I seize my own control. But in the gift, a realism takes hold. I see a structure not as a foe, but a friend, a story by the engineer untold. The pressure must be channeled, not just end. The sluice of gate is not weakness, but a choice, a narrow way for focused power to flow, to give the pent-up river a new voice, a current that can make the valley glow. And in that highest place, that secret trust, the dam itself becomes a thing of prayer. The water, stone, and engineer are just one seamless miracle beyond compare. So bless the pressure, bless the patient wait, and bless the limit that have made you strong. For though that narrow, terrifying gate is where the river learns its truest song. You may have noticed something about this talk. It's an exercise in Gate 60. We began with the pressure of the universal question. We moved into the divine structure, the what, the how, and so what. We've pulsed between intellectual ideas and poetic stories. We have honored the old forms of wisdom while reframing them into a language that you may appeal to more. The entire purpose has been to co-create a container, a safe, structured space for a single mutative idea to land gently in your heart. Your limitation is not an obstacle, it's your instrument. If the dam will generate your power, it is a chrysalis that will give you wings. It is the silence that will teach you your soul's true song. And here is my invitation to you, my challenge for the next many days, 7 days. I want you to stop fighting. Pick one area of your life where you feel profoundly stuck, the great limitation. And instead of hammering on the wall, I want you to get very quiet. I want you to approach it with a sense of reverence, curiosity even. And I want you to ask a question. Not, why are you here to punish me? But instead, what are you here to teach me? Listen, don't answer it. Just listen. In the stillness, in the off pulse, listen for the wisdom hidden within the constraint. Treat your limitation not as a warden, but as a wise ancient sage. Because in that stillness, in that loving acceptance, you create the space for the mutation to occur. You signal to the universe, to the divine, that you are ready to learn. The butterfly ready for the chrysalis. That you trust the process. And when you do that, you align yourself with the most powerful and loving creative force in existence. The pressure inside you is real. It is the evidence of your potential. It is the holy thing. It is the push of God, of life, of the cosmos, urging you toward the next, more beautiful, more authentic version of yourself. Do not squander it in bitterness. Do not drown in distraction. Honor the pressure. Accept the limitation with courage. And wait with active, hopeful, realistic faith for the pulse to turn on. Because when it does, and I promise you it will, you will not just be moving again. You will be flying. And with that, I thank you, and good night.